So today we're going to look at the simultaneous equations part of number patterns. So you'll recall in class that we answered this homework question. We got the first difference, we got the second difference. We found out what A was, and that came from our steps. So A is the second difference, number 2, all divided by 2. It's always divided by 2. So 2 over 2, which gives me 1. And then for this part, we know that the first term is 4. So in this equation up the very, very top here, we just substitute in 1 instead of n, because we're looking at T1. And then instead of A here, we just substitute in 1. And we let that all equal to 4, because 4 is our first term. And then when we solve that down, we get B plus C is equal to 3. Similarly with T2, we know that T2 is 5, term number 2. So in this equation up here, we substitute A with our 1 that we have over here, and then n we substitute with the number 2. So anywhere we have an n, we put 2 in, and then we simplify that and we get down to 2b plus c equals to 1. So we're going to take those two equations now and we're going to solve them simultaneously. What Miss Heavey... Okay, so when we're looking at solving simultaneous equations, our first step... So in our first step, we need to manipulate to cancel one of the variables. And what you need to do is you just pick a variable. So when we talk about variables, we're talking about the b's or the c's. So in this case, I'm just going to pick the b's. I'll show you a question later where I pick c. It doesn't matter which one you pick. So either way, it doesn't matter which one you pick as long as you multiply by the correct number. Okay, so in order for me to cancel this these b's here, I'll need to multiply that top line by -2. So I'm going to multiply that whole top line by -2, and that'll let me cancel the b's. So when I do that, I get -2b minus 2c, and then equals to 3 multiplied by -2 gives me -6. Okay, and my second line is the exact same, so I get 2b plus c equals to 1. All I've done there is written out that exact same line, and now I'm going to do a little bit of old school subtraction or addition in order to solve for one of my variables. So my second thing to do then is to add or subtract the columns. Okay, so I'm going to add the columns then. So the first column here, we have -2b plus 2b, and that's going to give me 0. Okay, the next column we have is -2c plus 2c, and that's going to give me -c. And then my final column, I have -6 plus 1, and -6 plus 1 is going to give me -5. Okay, and again you can check that on your calculator. Now if you imagine this -c, that's the same as, so same as -1c equals to -5, and I don't want a -c, I want just c. So what I'm going to do is divide both sides by -1, and what I get is that c equals to 5. So the next step then, what we're going to do is we're going to substitute c into an original equation to find b. So when I'm talking about an original equation, what I'm talking about is one of these guys here. So either that guy or this guy, and I only need to sub them into one of those. So I'm just going to sub it into the top one. So I have b plus c equals to 3. I already know c, so I know that b plus, and I can replace c with the number 5 is equal to 3. And what I can do is I can just loop around that number 5, bring it over the far side, it becomes -5. And what I get then is b equals to 3 minus 5, which gives me -2. And that's my b value. Okay, so I'm going to just use one of the questions that you had for homework to start this all from the top and do it. So we have the first difference, 5, 4, 3 and 2. And my second difference then here is -1. And all of you got this in homework the other night. Okay, so my first step always is to find A, which is equal to the second difference divided by 2. So in this case, it's -1 divided by 2, which is going to give me -0.5. And you can leave it as -0.5, or you can put it as -0.5. I like to put it as -0.5. I think it's just a little bit easier sometimes. Okay, so that's our second difference. That's our A value. Our second thing is that we now want to use what we know here to sub into this equation. Tn is equal to an squared plus bn plus c. Okay, so if we look up here, we can see that our T1 is 0, okay, and T2 is 5. So we're going to use those two. So let's go with the first one, T1. So instead of A, we're going to replace by -0.5. Instead of n, so we can see that our n is 1 squared plus b by 1 plus c is equal to, and our first term was 0, so we're going to put it equal to 0. If we solve for that, then we get -0.5 plus b plus c equals 0. And I can take this over the far side to get it into an equation, a linear equation form. So I get b plus c equals 2. And remember, if it comes over the far side here, it becomes a plus 0.5. So that's 0.5. That's my first linear equation. Now for step 3, we're going to just take T2. So again, replacing the A in this formula here with -0.5. Replacing n with 2 because we have term 2. 2b squared plus b, replacing n with 2, plus c, and we know that the second term, that we're going to let that all equal to the second term, which up here is the number 5. Okay, multiplying that then, so we have 2 squared is 4. 4 by -0.5 is -2. Then we have plus 2b, because b by 2 is just 2b. And then we have plus c, and that's all equal to 5. Now for the last step, all we need to do here is take -2 and bring that over the far side. It becomes plus 2. So what we will get is 2b plus c equals to 7. And now we have our two linear equations, so we're going to work with those two linears in the next slide. Okay, so now we have our simultaneous equations, and we're going to try and solve these. So again, step 1 in simultaneous equations, we need to cancel the b's or the c's. I'm going to actually just stick with the b's for the moment. We'll look at cancelling the other variable maybe later on when we get used to these. So again, all I'm going to do here is I'm going to multiply this top line by -2. And so I'm just going to rewrite that out. I get -2b. -2 by plus c gives me -2c. Equals -2 by 0.5 gives me 1. -1, sorry. -2 by 0.5 gives me -1. And then my second line stays the same. So 2b plus c equals to 7. Okay, so I'm going to draw a line under that, and I'm going to look at doing all of my different columns. So adding and subtracting my columns. So if I look at my first column, I have -2b plus 2b. And we know that that's going to give me 0. My second column then, I have plus 2c and -2c plus c. So -2c plus 1c gives me -2c. 1c. I'm just going to start writing that as c to try and get you used to it. And then the final part then here we have -1 plus 7. Well, -1 plus 7 is going to give me +6. Now last part, I'm going to divide both sides by -1 because I want a positive c. So that's going to give me c is equal to -6. And that's my c value. My third step then we know is going to be to take this and to sub it back into one of the original equations. I'm going to sub it back into the top equation now. So I have b plus c is equal to 0.5. Well, I know that c is equal to -6, so I can replace that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this -6 and I'm going to bring that over the far side, and I will get a +6 when I do so. And then what happens is I get b is equal to 0.5 plus 6 gives me 6.5.